chaos going.
You're tuned into SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Hit the lights. It's Sunday night. Welcome to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network and proudly presented by Hewitt Dalmaduros Law, HD Law, SC.com. Brad and Dean are here for you. They're not on the billboard. They're not on the infomercial. They want to be a part of your family, and you will be a part of theirs when you call Hewitt Dalmaduros Law with your needs regarding personal injury or insurance or anything of the like, dog bites, etc. Talk to Brad and Dean. You'll talk to them directly, and then you tell them that Craig and Rob sent you from SEC Sunday Night. It is another incredible Sunday night here in the greatest league in all of college sports. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome in, Casey, the esteemed producer of the Message Board Genius podcast. As we get going tonight, how are we doing? What's going on with everybody? Are we enjoying our weekend?
Happy Valentine's Day.
I just snotted on myself laughing at your esteemed comment that every week it just gets more and more, bubbly. That's the wrong word, but it sounds
well. When you're as accomplished as you are, Casey, we need to continue. We need to continue to hype it up for you.
Well, I appreciate that. And like when you weren't here and Craig was on the controls, we understand how difficult it can be. So
to produce, yep, absolutely.
Wait, what? We gotta hit what button? What happened?
What are we drinking, first of all? Always an important question before we get going. Casey, Purple Powerade?
No, it's a Snapple. Peach Snapple.
Okay.
Nothing exciting.
Sometimes you gotta go where everybody knows your name. Out of my cheers glass from Boston.
Look at that. Look at that.
Never sing again.
Every time he sings. All right, I've got Bojangles tea, and I'm going to pour it over some pancakes before we get done with this show tonight. And one more thing I wanted to get to before I don't want to bury the lead and not talk about scores, but first of all, I did want to ask if you guys have been watching the Olympics at all. Have we been tuned in? How are we doing in terms of Olympics?
I've been locked into hockey.
Yeah. So I'm locked in. My big one, I'm locked into women's 2-man bobsled.
Okay.
So this is why. Here we go. Ready? There's a connection. Because here's for Craig. Here's your takeaway.
It's going to be lacrosse.
No, it's ACC, but it's not lacrosse.
Our lacrosse legends are on lacrosse.
So our bridesmaid and best friend's niece was an ACC champion an ACC decathlete champion at Notre Dame. Graduated from Notre Dame.
Is that a sport where they are a part of the ACC? They opted in for that sport?
They are opted in the ACC. Actually in the ACC.
All right, cool.
And now she has got called up. She graduated and joined the U.S. bobsled team. So next Saturday we are going to be at our best friend's house, chanting USA, USA for the 2-man women's bobsled team. So, yes, that is where I am locked in for the Olympics. I was also very excited to see the messaging from Miss Vaughn. Was bummed to see her get taken out last week, but her ability to just be a badass and her resilience, I think, is a great thing for our young women out there. So, shout out to Miss Vaughn.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Curling.
You've been watching curling?
Who hasn't?
Did you learn how to make the curling stone?
No idea. All I know is Canada's cheating.
Canada's cheating. Apparently, one guy in the world knows how
too.
to make a curling stone.
Is that a true story?
That apparently I was told from one of my teachers this week. He was like, "Did you watch the curling story?" I'm like, "No." And like apparently it's like this gigantic saw that like cuts the stone out of the granite, and there's some fancy measuring thing. I don't know. It's cool. So fun story. Y'all are in South Carolina. If you were in Detroit, like me, you could go over the bridge to Windsor, Ontario in Canada, and you could actually go curling. Have not done it yet. Open invite for both of you.
This guy, like, this is America, Craig. There's curling clubs everywhere, including Irmo, South Carolina, where the esteemed Rob Williams may or may not reside.
All righty. There we
There's
go.
a curling club in South Carolina. Is that true?
Sure.
We have ice here, buddy.
You have, where do you have ice?
Okay.
In your glass, in your Mr. Bojangles sweet tea. That's about
back onto the rails that I can't even see from this point of the conversation. There's been a lot happening.
Mr. Bojangles.
So much happening in the world of SEC sports this weekend. We will begin on the hardwood, where I was just telling the guys, not so exciting in terms of the upsets on the men's side. Pretty much all the favorites have won, including Florida over Kentucky yesterday in a ranked matchup. Texas A&M is a story of note to me because they continue to drop games, and that was a team that we kind of had our eye on. Auburn as well has continued to drop games, although they've had some significant competition, lost at Arkansas yesterday. And so we continue to see the field start to separate just a little bit on the men's side. The women's side is almost decidedly separated already. If you look across the week, on Thursday, you had some significant matchups, but mostly of note is Vanderbilt, who was number 5 at the time, 86-70 over number 4 Texas. And then Vic Schaefer had some colorful comments to say about his team, and kind of threw them under the bus a little bit, much like we saw Kim Caldwell do last week with her Tennessee team. Last night on Valentine's Day, South Carolina beat LSU for the 18th time in a row, 79-72. Auntie Kim was rocking the hot pink with the tiger on the back, and Dawn Staley and staff wearing the Boo hoodies. If you know, you know.
Did you see what Auntie Kim said about that official?
I did, that he cost her a Final Four.
Well, I think you forgot a word, because like she was very colorful in her language, just like her outfits.
That doesn't
when are we getting
any of
Auntie
us.
Kim on the show?
We're working on it. We have a request in.
Do you want me to call her? I bet
Yep.
you she'd take my call.
For sure. Today, though, Kentucky upsets Ole Miss 74-57. Texas holds off Tennessee. We have another Tennessee loss there to a top 5 team. Oklahoma over Alabama, and then Georgia with the upset over number 5 Vanderbilt, 76-74. So a few more exciting things happening on the women's side. The men's side pretty much playing out like we would expect it to. Florida continues to play really, really well. Something to watch. They have another matchup against South Carolina, this time in Gainesville. Last time they played at South Carolina, they won by the largest road margin in the history of the SEC. So we'll see what the Gators have in store this week as well. Is Florida the team to beat in terms of that? In terms of the SEC race at this point, is there any debate left? I think we've spent much of the season kind of saying, look how they're going to separate or not separate. Now it appears that the Gators are that team, and Thomas Houck and then Darius Acuff for Arkansas have really separated themselves as players of the year, in my mind, in the conference. And just as we've said for the past 6 weeks, Gators, Razorbacks may be the top of the class coming out of the SEC this year.
Yep. And the biggest, I think, story of the weekend is we finally got the gift to capture the Georgia Bulldogs basketball season. The burning popcorn machine. Did you see this? The popcorn machine caught on fire the other night at Oklahoma. How bad do you think that stunk? I mean, burnt popcorn is probably about the worst that you could go through. But that was not ideal. Also, we got a shout out to Stephen Pearl and the Auburn Tigers, who have now lost their 4th game in a row. Casey, I don't think that's a good thing.
Ira's going to be looking for a new job.
Ira's going to be looking for I think he can stay though. Daddy will come right back. Bring back Bruce as long as South Carolina or Kentucky don't hire him. I think we'll be okay.
It's true.
Okay,
one
more thing. Go ahead.
I think that Florida and Arkansas are 1-2, and then there's a significant drop between the rest, like Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Alabama. I know I like Alabama probably out of those three, but I think then there's another drop, and that's where Kentucky, Missouri, A&M, Texas, all the Auburn, whoever else is in the league after that.
I just hope we win the NIT. That's really what I'm going for at this point.
17-8 is a good record. 5-7 in the conference is where you're going to get some pushback, maybe, unless the SEC is deemed, the creme de la creme again.
And I think that's a question for us to answer a little bit later in the show, as it is game night here on SEC Sunday night, as we get ready for our tour of the SEC and preview of college football season, which is going to be coming up right around the corner, as we all know.
Do we get karaoke too?
We're gonna play a few games tonight. Let me hit on this just really quickly. Baseball has begun, and it is America's pastime, and it was a fantastic opening weekend across the country. The biggest complaint that I have is that it's almost impossible to follow this mobily. As the average fan. If you're a fan of the SEC and you're trying to keep up with college baseball, we go to the worldwide leader in sports in general for a lot of things, and it is almost impossible to track down your teams on anything ESPN in terms of the app or streaming. You have to scroll for days just to get to it. If you go on your ESPN app right now and you look for college baseball score, you have to click about 5 times to even get to college baseball. And then there's no way to A, follow a team, or B, separate it out by a conference so that you can get to somebody more quickly. You literally have to scroll through every team that played to find what you're looking for. And it seems to me that this is a game that means something to at least the region. It is Craig's made the point that we've seen it kind of die out nationally in some ways. But it is a sport that is important, and it is exciting, and it deserves more coverage than what it gets, in my opinion.
Yeah, my buddy Marty Coleman says, like, you have these algorithms, but some things that you get on social media and things based on things you think about, but you can't get ESPN to remember the fact that I only watch South Carolina baseball. Like, I have to go through Campbell and Elgin State and Bemidji State versus Upper Nebraska Tech before it even gets to the SEC or the ACC teams. It's like you can't. Everything else remembers you and where you were and your last stop, but apparently the ESPN app can't figure out that the team that you've been watching solely, pretty much, right? Because we all have our favorites. They can't figure out to put that one maybe first.
Well, and I think this is where I think our lacrosse and our baseball fandoms come. Is we were talking before the show. And I said, hey, where were some of the games you guys were watching this weekend? And we found out it was on the non-traditional ESPN networks where you had to go through the streaming service. And I know that has been that hot button issue. But to me, like, the fact that it is at least available and we can stream these games, even if they're not in the traditional piece, where even if I do have my cell phone, I can check those out. I know I was doing that quite a bit yesterday. I was doing laundry. Had a lot of lacrosse games up. Was checking in on some of the basketball stuff, but that is a benefit. But yeah, I do agree with you that we do need to break that up a little bit. But again, I think it comes down to money. We've starting to see all the money that are into the programs, and football and men's and women's basketball are getting all of the money. And I think that's where ESPN is devoting most of their resources, because there you can break it up and you can find it relatively easily. But yeah, baseball has not been great. Softball has not been great either.
I think even Clemson put out a thing the other day about there's going to be games with one camera behind home plate. They they already know, these are going to be the 4 games that you're going to have one camera.
It's
the thing that always gets me though is that and I understand they don't have the money, right? But for these, like Clemson and Carolina, they'll play a game at a neutral site. Happens to be in Columbia this year at Segra Park. Segra Park's a minor league stadium. It'll be the worst video that you will ever watch a game. Last year was in Greenville at Fluor Field, where the Greenville Braves play. One camera. It was like the worst. Like, yes, Craig, to your point, like, and Rob's point, really, we got it. This game and these games, lacrosse is growing too, need like that step up. And I don't know what, but like it's sad that we have to watch these games if we're not able to get to them on these one cameras.
Well, it really is, and it speaks to your fandom there, Casey, because you just referred to the Drive as the Greenville Braves, which tells us how long you've been paying attention to minor league baseball. I'll run through some stuff really quick. Vanderbilt gets popped 11-1 by Oklahoma State. Today, we also saw Texas over UC Davis. Missouri with, is traditionally one of the worst teams in the SEC, but just kind of an eye-popping score, 34-3 over Mount St. Mary's. Texas A&M takes care of business against Tennessee Tech. We saw LSU win big over Milwaukee. Ole Miss over Nevada. We have a game, Oklahoma and number 10 TCU, coming up here at 8:30. A lot of stuff happening in Arlington over the weekend. You can look at those teams. Vanderbilt did beat Texas Tech yesterday. Mississippi State got a win. Alabama with the win over Washington State. So we can see a lot of those things that we kind of mentioned. There was big games to watch on Friday night. Oklahoma with the 10-3 win over Texas Tech. And let's see here. The Vanderbilt TCU game was kind of a big one on Friday night, and TCU won that game 5-4. So a lot of stuff happening. Washington State upset Alabama. UAB upset Florida. Mount St. Mary's beat Missouri on Friday night before Missouri turned around and beat them 34-3. So some interesting games at the beginning of it. But Casey and I kind of made the point earlier, and I'll let you guys chime in on this before we get to Genius really quickly. It's just, similar to basketball, but even more so, there's so many games to be played. Opening weekend of college football is overreaction weekend every single year. Mm-hmm. I've seen some overreaction to these baseball scores as I'm just kind of running through them. And I think that it's important for us to remember that this is baseball. And so we just need to pump the brakes.
35 games, roughly? Give or take?
No, they play about 56 games.
56 games.
56. That's more than I thought.
Well, once we get to conference, you're about on it, Craig.
Huh?
Once we get to conference play, you're a lot closer.
Yeah, there's about 35, 36 conference games, but there's 56 overall, 16 weekend series, 3-game series, and then whatever else you have in between.
Yeah. So it's you get the overreaction, but it's like that's again where we've talked about this, right? This is the college football data point problem. We only have in college football, we know we have 12 instances from which to measure each other. Where in college baseball you can have upwards of 56, in basketball we have 25 to 30 some odd games in which to do that. So yes, I don't know if it necessarily leads to the overreaction. It's a nice headline, but like Rob, as you said, Missouri wanted to avoid Maggie Johnson's wrath and responded appropriately by taking care of business.
And I'm looking at the schedule or at the standings now too in the conference, and there's literally only one team, Vanderbilt, who they'll be fine. Yep. That actually had to step up in competition to start the season when they're down there in Arlington, Texas, at the Shriners, and they're 1-2, and they're the only team in the conference. And you know me, you guys are growing on me a little bit. I'm not a fan of this conference, but they're the only team in the conference that didn't win their series. And you have to – college baseball is win 2 out of 3. If you win the series – I saw there was a commentator yesterday that does a lot of Clemson games. He's the former Furman University coach when they had a program, Ron Morris. And he said, you are going to lose a third of your games. It's what you can do above the 2 out of 3. So he's like, it's basically you're going to take a third and hope you can – chisel off a couple of those games that aren't maybe so that you can then I'm choking on my words here, but you have a couple sweeps, right? So Mississippi State They only won 2, but A&M swept, Texas swept, Tennessee swept, Ole Miss swept, LSU swept, Kentucky swept, Auburn swept. I don't know if the SEC being down this weekend is actually carries much weight.
Yeah, I think it's almost a ridiculous thing to say. But since you mentioned your Tigers, let's begin. It just means more genius in Clemson.
All right, now I can get it back into character here. So MBG says it's time for fans to start suing schools. Hashtag sue everybody. Our friend Trout Boy from TigerNet says, could we just sue? Could we, the fans, sue colleges to stop this madness? What about fans? A class action? What about fans? A class action suit? Let's get a judge that is biased on our side and get an injunction against all this nonsense. Yeah, that's the ticket. Seriously, we the fans have a big voice when aggregated. Maybe it will take a fan uprising to make meaningful change. What do you think? Are we going to sue everybody, like MBG says?
Does he want them to be aggravated? I don't.
It doesn't matter.
It's something in between.
I'm kind of embarrassed as an alumni of a school that I had a hard time reading that one.
Right. What are we suing them for exactly?
Stay away from comment on the grammatical standards at Clemson University. No, I think that if this guy thinks that he can lead the revolution, then more power to him to try to get it started.
Would he bring this suit in a Columbia court if he's going to go local? Like, he's got to bring it in Columbia. He can't bring it in Clemson, can he?
I mean, Clemson has court.
No, but if you're going to, but again, if we've learned anything from Trinidad and from Joey, you've got to get really local, and you've got to find something that is going to work for us. So
to go to like Pelzer.
Yeah, I think you do that. You go to Pelzer. You go to Abbeville. You get whoever.
You go to Liberty.
Yeah, all Pickens County, baby. Just
anything in South Carolina. People in South Carolina understand what we're talking about. We've lost the rest of you.
You go to 96. 96 has a.
You know what? Due West is not that far from Clemson.
Due West is southeast of Greenville.
All right.
No idea what the hell you both are talking about, but way to go.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Gregory. All right. MBG says, does LSU even practice shooting baskets? This is from Tiger Rant, one of our favorites on our show. It's from our friend Flying Tiger 82. Says, do the players practice shooting baskets? Do they practice free throws and layups? Because from a not very basketball enthusiast, it seemed like from the pedestrian eye that our team would get ridiculous rebounds, but was unable to sink shots while USCE didn't miss a shot. I don't know how you practice basketball, but I sure hope they practice actually shooting the ball into the net thing. That's why we lost, I think. Again, I don't know jack shite about this sport and have zero to light medium interest, but my wife enjoys it, and she endures me during football season, so I watched it with her. Sorry they lost, but damn, don't fire the coach or the players. Just practice more. So, guys, did LSU just not practice shooting the basketball into the basketball hoop thingy?
Can you give me a second? I have to text my coach to make sure we're doing that this week, to make sure that we are practicing shooting. Into the
director of athletics.
Listen to me. This board is just its own breed, but we've seen so many boards that fall into this category of he freely admits he has no earthly idea what he's talking about.
But he's got big opinions.
To the point that what was the phrase? The
into the net thing, rather than just saying let's shoot the ball into the net. No, we have to put net thing because there could be something more.
Not sure if that's the right term. That's the point.
Is it the basket? Is it a peach basket?
My goodness. Also, forgive my ignorance, but what is USCE? What's the jab? Does anybody know?
East, I think.
East.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because Fight On is USCW.
Okay, sure.
Quick question: is this guy's wife the basketball fan, and he's forcing her to watch? She's forcing him to watch basketball too. I mean, what's happening here?
This is clearly a women's basketball post as well. because once again the Gamecocks went into Baton Rouge and took down the Tigers for the 18th time in a row last night.
Seems like that's an important number for you.
I'm just pointing it out. I mean, it's a significant number in a matchup that is often deemed a quote unquote rivalry. 18 in a row seems like dominant if it is a rivalry. But this one's fun. That's a lot of fun.
That is.
Sorry, I just got done biting my lip. MBG says this Mississippi State fan wants the NCAA to restrict Trinidad Chambliss to only playing games inside the state of Mississippi. MS Dog 007, is this James Bond? Says what would be interesting is if the NCAA said, okay, you're eligible, but only in games played in Mississippi. What's the judge going to do? Send Mississippi law enforcement to Indianapolis to arrest NCAA officials for, quote, violating a Mississippi injunction when they deem Ole Miss games out of state as forfeits when Chambliss plays? I know this isn't a solution, lest we would have already seen the NCAA do it in other cases, but boy, would I be tempted.
Lest we be tempted.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you think that they can do this, where they have to play somebody else instead of Trinidad Chambliss when they go outside state lines?
But I think this is why they signed both Deuce Knight and Walker Howard, because they knew that by going to the local judge that Trinidad was only going to be eligible for games played in Oxford and Starkville. So to me, like, this is very sound. I think it makes a lot of sense. Walker Howard has been a well-traveled man. He's been at LSU once. This is a second stint at Ole Miss. He's a starter at Louisiana last year. Deuce Knight looked pretty good for Auburn, and that was hard to do this year with Brother Hugh at the helm. So yeah, I to me this makes a lot of sense. So seriously, confirmed. I think this is good.
I have to commend your tone there, Craig. That was fantastic.
He said,
it really sounded like you were arguing a serious point. Now this is hilarious.
He said confirmed.
This is hilarious to me, and because now we have Egg Bowl influence here naturally, right? So right off the jump, it's a little bit of a tainted take, like it or not. I don't think that anybody from Starkville or Oxford ever talked about the other city without bias, or the other school without bias. So that this one just it fits in its own category as well. The last one was I don't know what I'm talking about category. This one is rivalry coded. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move on. Here's a good one. I got to click through some slides for this one for you, Casey, but go ahead and get MBG's comment here.
All right. MBG says, oh, so this is why Alabama's offensive line was terrible. From our friend Don Juan Pond, he says, strength and conditioning, Alabama players working out at a Pilates class. Workouts like these are the reasons we're not dominant on the line of scrimmage anymore. Need to get Cochran back on board. We had Alabama football in the studio for a couple classes with Hannah Weeks Kreiner, and let's just say we know they'll be back soon. Shout out to the guys for trying something new out of their comfort zone and truly making it their own. That's what push is all about. Hashtag push Pilates, hashtag reformer Pilates, hashtag Tuscaloosa, Alabama, hashtag Alabama football, and then a bunch of fire emojis from Anna Margaret Ray.
That was fantastic reading of that one, Casey.
You're welcome.
That's so good. This is why you get paid the big bucks right there. And shout out to Alabama football for doing Pilates. Like, and this guy's a clown. He does not understand strength and conditioning in 2026. These guys are doing yoga. These guys are doing Pilates. These guys are doing all the sorts of things. And guess what? They're also lifting up the big heavy stuff and putting it back down and squatting it. So calm down, Alabama. You just couldn't block. And if we've learned anything from the NFL, which I watched one game, so I definitely learned something, fire Ryan Grubb, and then you can actually win something. Thank you, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I think this one's funny too. I love Pilates, so I'm not totally upset about it. I mean, core strength seems important if you need a good center of gravity to block somebody. Yeah. It's not all about your your arms and your legs, right? We need
Got
Question,
some
you-
massage in this
strengthen the- we
category
gotta
of
strengthen
message
the
boards.
core.
Do you have your shirt on for Pilates, or is that shirt definitely probably off for it?
Nah, it's coming off.
Do I know my co-host or do I know my co-host?
Coming off.
Wait,
for
are we
sure.
doing? Is it like Is it like Bikram, like really hot in there, all that good stuff?
Sure, that's how Lane likes it.
Or is that Vinyasa or is
yoga.
that Bikram?
It's Bikram.
Bikram, okay, that's the good stuff.
But
Okay,
we're not.
which-
supposed to- But he's disgraced. So can we call it Bikram yoga anymore? I think it's just hot yoga now.
Whatever it is.
All right. This is very what's the
This is
word?
a good one. It's a good one to end on.
Good one to end on, and it's seasonal, right? We do seasonal things on our show. So here's at Board Geniuses says where am I, dude? MBG says tough Valentine's Day for this BYU fan. Provo Prodigy says looks like the wife has a headache tonight. Gonna watch a movie instead. Any good movies you guys have seen recently? Would prefer a comedy, but really fine with anything. So is he watching the movie Solo tonight? No soaking going on?
That was and that's all we needed right there, gents. That was Casey just put a bow on it. Perfect line to close that one out. And it's 8:30 on SEC Sunday Night, and it's time for a break. We'll be right back after this. That was It Just Means More, genius.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network and proudly presented by Hewitt Diamaduros Law. We are right back here after an opening segment of scores and message boards. And now it's time for the thing that everybody loves the most. It's time to talk about football. Tonight, we are going to play some games. Craig, I have 3 games lined up for us, the first of which Actually, 3 games lined up for us. The first of which is a draft, and so we're going to try to hang on to Casey as long as we can to do this draft.
We should be on a team. They worked good for.
No, I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea.
Godfather,
Maybe
we should
homework.
all
American
draft
Psycho,
here.
Goodfellas, perfect.
It's very simple. We're going to draft an SEC offense. You need
Okay.
1 quarterback. You need 2 wide receivers. You need a running back, a tight end, and an offensive line group. So that's going to be 6 positions.
No play
Okay.
caller.
6 positions. I'll let you have a play caller. I like that.
We know
I
who
like that
I'm
idea.
picking. We know who I'm calling.
I like that idea. And we're just going to go around. We're going to snake. I'm going to go reverse order from what I'm looking at on the screen. I'm going to go right to left. So, Craig, I'm going to give you the first pick reluctantly, and we'll snake our way back and forth across there. I'm going to write down everybody's picks so we have it, and then we can put a little graphic out tomorrow so everybody can tell us who has the best team. Okay. All right, Craig, you're up. Remember, you can draft any position. Draft wisely.
Okay. Play caller. You ready?
You're starting with the OC?
Yeah, I'm not picking one of those. So
Yeah. I'm going to
I
go
go
with Buster Faulkner, offensive coordinator, Florida Gators.
Okay.
Rob is so disgusted with you.
That's great. That's just great. That's just a beautiful first pick. You went with freaking Buster Faulkner over every player on the board. Casey, please save us.
I'm gonna go with Arch Manning at quarterback.
What? No! What was my next pick?
Sorry, you
Well-
wasted your first pick on a freaking OC.
He doesn't have a quarterback, though.
Well, you wanted X's and O's. Casey and I are going to focus on Jimmy's and Joe's.
That's right.
As my first pick, I'm going with Trinidad Chambliss because he is seemingly eligible, if only maybe in the state of Mississippi, maybe everywhere else, but we're going to go with Chambliss. And since we're snaking,
Oh, crap.
I'm also going to go with Ahmad Hardy.
Oh, it's okay. It was on my list.
That was a good pick. I'm going with Baugh from Florida.
He wasn't on my list either. Get in, losers. The reason I went with Buster Faulkner is because he is a master of the RPO. And when he has a quarterback that is mobile, he is lethal. So I will be taking Gunnar Stockton, quarterback of your Georgia Bulldogs, the boy from Tiger. I will take over the rich kid from New Orleans and the 12th year from Ferris State.
He's just going to build the Georgia offense, but use
I think
Buster
so.
Faulkner is who he wanted. All right.
And
All right.
any
Correct.
effective RPO, not only
That's
do you
what's
have
up.
to have a good quarterback and a good play caller, you need a good running back. So keep your Baugh from Florida and give me Kewan Lacey, who was a dog for the Ole Miss Rebels. Sorry, Rob, that you got to cross that one off your list, buddy.
Well, I already picked a running back, so I'm good to
Doesn't
go
matter.
on that position. Casey, you're up.
Cam Coleman, Texas.
Oh, good one. Good.
Fantastic pick.
That is a good pick. That's a good pick.
You don't understand how fast my fingers are working because I don't even know these players.
You're like, I don't even know if these guys declared for the draft or not.
I'll show you my Google search history here in a minute.
Okay, so now it gets a little bit interesting.
Rob's Googling too.
No, I'm not. I'm tweeting, but yeah, you can tell when I'm tweeting because I freeze. Now it gets a little bit interesting because now I can make an argument for a couple of different things. But I've solidified my quarterback position and my running back position,
Mhm.
and we've taught a lot of skill here so far.
Yeah.
But we know that when we're building a roster that we need to build from the inside out. We build it from the trenches closest to the ball, and we're going to work our way back out. And so I'm going to go with the offensive line group at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some interesting options here, right? We've got Alabama doing Pilates.
Yeah.
We've got we've on the opposite end, we've got Texas A&M who's replacing all five of their starters. And so, you know, when I look at my options here, I'm going to take one from Craig because we know that an offensive line group that does a good job to provide a running attack
Mm-hmm.
is there in Austin, Texas. If we're going to protect Arch and we're going to have a good running game. We stacked up on running backs in Austin. Got to be able to put a hole for them. So maybe they know something that we don't. So I'm going with Texas for my offensive line.
It's like picking a kicker in the third round of your fantasy football draft.
Nah,
Right.
no, I think it's important. And now I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here because you said play caller.
It did.
You said play caller. Now, when we have offensive coordinators, you guys correct me if I'm wrong here. Has Kentucky said who's going to actually call plays? Or do we just have an offensive coordinator?
Interesting.
Yeah, we have. They have an offensive coordinator,
But we don't know who's actually calling the plays there.
Nope.
Oh,
So
wait a minute. There's still a dynamic offensive play caller in the league. Just move from one team to the other.
Hmm.
Give me Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yeah, but what if he goes to the NFL?
So we are doing play callers.
Yeah, we are. Do you need a cheat sheet?
My fingers are just fine. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. I got Texas O-line. I got Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yeah.
That means Casey, you're back up.
I might need help here. Is the tight end from what's his name? Lawson Lucky? Is he still around or did he graduate?
Nope, he's still there.
That's
Jerk.
who I'm going with.
Jerk.
That's really all I'm doing here is just trying to read Craig's mind.
So if you need an effective RPO game, you've talked about the quarterback, you've talked about the running back. You also need that deep home run threat. I'm taking Chris Brazel II from the Tennessee Volunteers as my deep threat wide receiver to help stretch my passing game. And then in my wraparound pick, I too will go with another home run threat. And I'm going to go back to Texas and I'm going to get Ryan Wingo. Those two guys, by the way, little fun fact for you, Casey. Brazel averaged 17.4 yards a reception, and Wingo was 15.4 this year.
That's way too much research for me.
I get it. But no, just to let you know, that's what you get for taking my tight end, because now we're feuding.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to go with Ryan Williams because he's 18.
He's 18 now.
Isn't he 19?
No, he's 18.
Until February. Oh, he may be 19 now. Yeah, he
Is
might
it?
be 19.
Isn't that crazy? Okay, in keeping with that theme, I'm gonna go because I only need receivers and a tight end at this point. I'm gonna go Isaiah Horton, who is now in Texas A&M, no longer at Alabama. And in terms of a tight end, okay. Let me see if I can steal another one from Craig here. That's where I need to let me go back to my board and look it up. I'm not Googling. I'm on my sheet over here. Which am I frozen again? Am I frozen for being on my sheet also?
Speaking of which, 1999, there was a great song that came out by Madonna. It was called Frozen. Remember that song, Casey?
No.
I believe it was on the Ray of Light album.
You might have to sing it.
Did we just tell him not to do that?
Hang on, I'll find it. I got the lyrics here. You only see what your eyes want
No,
to see.
stop it.
How can
Make it stop.
You're frozen.
Why is it still happening? Why is it still happening?
Because you're still frozen. Let it go.
I'm still frozen. That's just fantastic. Okay.
But you look good. You know?
It looks good though. Yeah, it looks like you're deep in thought.
Okay.
Who's
How
up?
can life be? Come on, what do you got here, buddy?
You know what? I'm going to make a homer pick just for a moment.
What a shock.
There's a lot of fantastic talent in the league. But I'm going to go with I'm going to go on potential here on one cuz I feel like I've already beaten both of you. And so I'm going to go with the fastest. I'm going to go with the fastest player.
Biased.
I'm going to go with the fastest player in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
My other receiver, and I'm going with Nick Harbor.
Chuck it deep.
All right, Casey, you're up, and you need an offensive line
And a play caller. My offensive line who went for offensive line already?
Texas.
And who else? That's it?
That's it.
Georgia.
Perfect. For tight end, I am going to look at the next great Georgia tight end. Casey took Lawson Lucky, who's a nice pick. But I'm going to go to Elias Williams, 6'7", 255-pound freshman. Look for him to be Darnell Washington part 2.
Okay, just a minute on that, Craig. Are you hearing things? Are you hearing anything big out of Athens in terms of what their expectations there? Because he was a highly rated recruit, and a lot of it's kind of becoming an ongoing thing in Athens to kind of have that strong tight end. And obviously with Bobo, you're going to get featured a lot.
Yep.
Is there hype kind of building, or are we in that stage yet, or is it still a little too early?
So he mixed it up a little bit this year. He played a little bit. Delp got the majority of it, and Lucky sort of kind of filled in there. I'm going to look for Lucky to be kind of that guy that probably would be like a Brock Bowers type role, where he may have his hand in the ground, but he's probably going to be split out more often than not. And I would look for Williams to be the guy that kind of like takes that next step, putting his hand in the ground, kind of being that matchup problem, whether that be at safety or at linebacker.
Got it. All right, Casey. Sorry, Craig, you have another.
Offensive line?
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Fighting Maggie Johnsons because I don't want her yelling at me like she yelled at you last week. So I'm going to go with Missouri.
Wow.
Play caller? I'm going with Steve Sarkisian.
That's a
good
great
call.
pick.
Not if you're in the red zone. Not if you're in the red
I
zone.
almost went with Kendall Briles, but I didn't want to be clipped and put on social media picking Kendall Briles.
You would have indeed been clipped and put on social media. There's no doubt about it. I would have made sure that happened immediately. Okay. I'm gonna take another stab here. Is that it?
Mhm.
Are we done? Other than me?
Yeah, you're it. I'm done.
I'm it. Okay, at the tight end position, I went back and forth on this. And given what we saw Will Stein do last year with Kenyon Sadiq at Oregon, I got to roll the dice a little bit on one of these Kentucky tight ends. Okay, if you look at the team last year, Rodriguez was probably the most productive out of those that are returning. But you have 2 6'6" tight ends in Elijah Brown and Henry Boyer coming in. But, given the skill set and the catches and the experience, I'm going with Willie Rodriguez at Kentucky.
Look at that. Kentucky and Missouri showing up on our board. Look at that for a little space.
Well, you got talent across the board.
Oh, no, we're not going to get any SEC pretty hats, though, for no LSU picks.
I picked Weiss.
I picked him by default.
All right. There are teams. Let me read them all for you, and then we'll get out of here for one more break. My team, Trinidad Chambliss, Isaiah Horton, Nick Harbor, Ahmad Hardy, Willie Rodriguez, Texas offensive line, and Charlie Weiss Jr. calling plays. Craig has Stockton, Brazel, Wingo, Kejuan Lacey, Mizzou's offensive line. Who did you pick? Oh, Elias Williams.
Yep.
And Buster Faulkner calling the plays. And Casey with Arch Manning, Cam Coleman, Ryan Williams, Jaden Ball, Lawson Lucky, Georgia's offensive line, and Sark calling plays. You guys let us know who you think won that draft. We'll have it up for you online tomorrow. It is 8:48 here on SEC Sunday night. It's time for another break. Casey, appreciate you as
Thanks,
always.
JC.
We'll be right back with some more games here on SEC Sunday night.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen, When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
OTC is go.
Packet go.
PTC is go. LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go. STM is go.
Safety com is go.
STU is go. LRD is go.
SRO is go.
CDI is go. Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
It's SEC Sunday Night, presented by Hewitt Diamodoros. Visit hdlawsc.com. It's go time.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network, proudly presented by Hewitt Diamodoros Law. It's been a fun night of kind of jumping back into things. We are going to play one more game here before we let you know what is coming up for the next couple of weeks. Craig, you're raising your hand. Does that mean that you have something that you would like to share with the crowd?
Oh, no, I was just dancing.
Oh,
I was just feeling the groove, feeling the music, and letting it flow.
I like it. We've got singing. Now we've got dancing. Craig is just in the zone tonight, ladies and gentlemen, which is fantastic because now I'm going to hit him with a little game of something I like to call go or no. In a world, Craig, where in our sport of football that we often discuss, analytics are really telling us whether we need to go or no.
Yep.
We're gonna take that mindset outside of football, and I'm going to challenge your knowledge around the SEC and get your takes on multiple things. And I'll give mine as well on sports outside of the gridiron. Let's start here. And we already talked about men's and women's hoops tonight. We talked about baseball a little bit, but softball, Craig,
Yep.
is an SEC heavy sport.
Sooners are big.
So, yeah, 34-0 today for Oklahoma in 5 innings.
Sorry,
is
UTEP.
an absolute beatdown. Yeah, against UTEP. Go or no, Craig? The SEC softball has the best chance to produce a national champion of any collegiate sport.
SEC and softball?
The SEC and softball over SEC and everything else. Go or no?
There's no push.
There is no push. That is correct, sir.
I'm going to say go because I am going to be all about our softball teams. But I am going to say that if this is where the softball chances are of winning a national championship, SEC baseball is like just underneath it. So if we've got like a 90% chance of SEC softball winning a national championship, then there's an 89.789% chance that the SEC also wins one in baseball.
Yeah, I think that, I'm sorry that Casey's gone at this point because we know how much he loves preseason polls, but we're just beyond the preseason now, and we're a handful of games into the season, still 6 SEC teams in the top 10, and then those teams would be Texas at 2, Tennessee at 3, Oklahoma 4, Florida 5, Texas A&M 8, and LSU 10. But then we've also got Arkansas at 11. You've got Alabama at 13. You got Georgia at 17. You got South Carolina at 20. You got Mississippi State at 21. And so that is 11 of the top 25. And Ole Miss just dropped out. They were 22 last week. So Auburn received votes. Missouri received votes. Ole Miss, again, like I said, received votes. So 11 of the 16 teams there are ranked in the top 25. So it's pretty dominant in terms of expectations. We'll see as the season continues to play out. But I'm going to go on that one as well because I do think that it's extremely SEC heavy. You've got your UCLA for sure in there, maybe Florida State. We'll see how that goes. Okay.
Hang on, quick question for you for the baseball softball thing. Is the SEC's dominance in baseball and softball what is holding the conference back from adding men's or women's lacrosse, you think? Because they are so dominant in baseball and softball that they wouldn't want any of that oxygen taken up? Or is it just because that sport is not historically as popular in the southeastern part or the bottom right-hand corner of the country?
I think that it is a popularity thing, but the growth in popularity is spreading across the Southeast, and as it does, it will grow into the conference. I believe so. I think it's just a slow build. I'm starting to see it over the past 6 or 8 years. I'm really starting to see it build in high schools. In the area across the state of South Carolina specifically. And as we see it grow at the high school level, we'll continue to see it grow at the collegiate level as well. It's interesting to see lacrosse at many levels of college athletics across the Southeast, just not cracking its way into the SEC just yet.
And give a shout out to our boy Casey. Clemson, I think, could be that door opening, because Clemson just started a women's lacrosse program about 3 years ago, and they have vaulted themselves right up into the top 10. And you could see programs established like South Carolina, who's won a club national championship. Georgia's got a pretty good team as well. Florida's also very good. Texas is very good. There's a natural fit there where you could see a couple of these real big schools possibly inject some money and make them very good. So I appreciate let me go off the rails a little bit there.
No, and I think it's definitely a thing where if you put a little bit of money into it, lacrosse is a game where athletes in the Southeastern Conference could jump in and be dominant, just as you've seen, like you said, Clemson's women's lacrosse program jump in and have a lot of success early. You could easily see that across the SEC if they were to put a few resources into it and not really making those cupboards bare elsewhere. All right, to the hardwood.
I'm looking at 5 or 6. I'm not looking at 16 too. So
yep, for sure. I'm gonna come back to that thought in just a minute as well. SEC basketball is still the best league in the country, Craig. Go or no on SEC basketball as a conference?
Well, I was listening to The Ringer this week, and Bill Simmons was talking about Ace Ventura. So I got nope, never mind. That's a bad reference because that was Mike Myers. I was going to say, how about no? I got Big Ten. Big Ten or the ACC is the top in basketball this year, not the SEC.
I think that, Jay Billis said something along the lines yesterday that I probably agree with, which was the SEC is still the deepest conference. He thought specifically that the Big 12 has the most national championship contenders because they have a few at the top of the conference that are going to go and make some noise and make a deeper run. But with Arizona, Kansas, Texas Tech upsets Arizona yesterday, there's a few teams there. I would go on this because I think that the SEC, like we said last week, has a lot of B and C teams. And so if we spread it out and played that game of 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, as we often get early in the year, as this year goes on and we get into tournament time, I'll be interested to see. Sweet 16 is really a big measurement for me. Obviously, we're going to measure how many teams make the tournament, and then how many teams are Sweet 16 worthy teams and can fight to that level. I think is a big thing that we should look at.
Would 3 be your magic number for Sweet 16?
If the SEC gets 10 teams in, I might go with 4. I think 25% of that field would be just something to really look at. And right now, again, you're probably looking at the SEC getting the most teams, and right there at that 9-10 kind of mark. We'll see where that goes. Okay, we touched on this earlier, so we don't need to spend a ton of time here, but I wanted to bring it up here. Number 3, go or no. Opening weekend in college baseball in the SEC is cause for concern. We had some teams at the top, or teams that are expected to be good, dropping some games to some teams that are not expected to be good. And there's a little bit of weird internet fodder and panic. What do you think? Go or no? This is cause for concern.
No, there is no cause for concern at all. I'm predicting, I think I did last week on the show, predicted an all SEC championship game with an SEC champion. So we'll be just fine. I'm sure Omaha will be stocked. I'm sure our friends at the Jello Shots in Omaha will be just fine with all of the SEC contingent out there this year.
Yeah, I think that like I said earlier, this is just an absolutely bogus type of take to say that we need to start worrying about, and Casey kind of backed it up too, that we need to be worried about the SEC at this point. Okay, number 4, we'll move on from baseball because we kind of already covered that. The SEC will ultimately have 2 number 1 seeds in the NCAA women's bracket. 2 number 1 seeds. Right now, the top 5 teams in the country are UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, who just lost to Georgia, and LSU. Now, we had some losses in that. Yes, we're looking at the poll. A couple of those teams just lost.
Yep.
Will the SEC get 2 number 1s?
Yes, and Auntie Kim and I will boo and boo. I mean Don will both have number 1 seeds. So they'll be just fine. LSU and South Carolina.
Okay, good. You know, up until today, the latest bracketology had Vanderbilt in, but then after I wrote this game out, we had that massive upset. So a very interesting development kind of shaping around that question. I actually missed one, Craig, in explaining that. So I'll apologize and go back and give us one here. In the top 5, I bumped LSU in accidentally, but Texas is at 4, and they held off Tennessee today. So don't count out Vic Schaefer, even though he, like Kim Caldwell last week, threw his team under the bus, which I know often rubs you the wrong way when that happens. Lot of talent in Austin, and an opportunity for them now with Vanderbilt going down to seize that opportunity to kind of jump in there. It's really been South Carolina, Texas in the SEC as of late, and we know what Auntie Kim and LSU have done, and I think that they're right on the edge of that as well. But don't count out what the Longhorns are doing. All right, last one on go or no before we switch gears and give a little bit of a preview to what is coming up. We talked about sports outside of football for this segment.
Yep.
And that's what this question is all about. You brought up lacrosse, and lacrosse is not in the SEC yet, but it's a great point. You talk about not having every team in this sport that I'm going to mention here. Every school does not even have a team for this sport. Is gymnastics the greatest SEC sport that not enough people are talking about? 7 out of the top 8 teams in the country hailing from the SEC.
I'm going to first give a shout out to Maggie Johnson, who does a phenomenal job of covering Mizzou athletics and has done a masterful job of covering Mizzou's gymnastics program. I'm just going to say this is a go. I have spent enough time in men's and women's college lacrosse, men's and women's college basketball. I am not devoting enough time to gymnastics, so I'm going to give this a full go.
I'm actually giving this a big time go as well, because it's really exciting to watch, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of excitement inside the arenas. You can tell there's a lot of energy. If you've been to a college basketball game, then you're sitting in the same room that a lot of these college gymnastics meets are happening in. And if you watched on the SEC network, Friday night on the SEC network is gymnastics night. And there's a featured matchup every week, and it's always a ranked matchup. And a lot of times it's a top 10 matchup.
Yep.
So I have not had the opportunity to go to one of these meets in the SEC, but I can see the environment is continuing to grow. And as it grows in popularity, and you know what? I'll give credit where credit's due. Shout out to Livy Dunn for bringing a little bit of attention to the sport, even though she wasn't a starter, to put it in our terms, and wasn't out there competing as much as some of her other teammates were. But it's an exciting sport, and it's another one of those games that, much like softball, if you look at the top 10, it's hard to find a team that's not in the SEC. Okay,
and that's what, and I'll just say real quick, that's where the demise of the Pac-12 really hurt. The Pac-12 used to be that dominating force when it came to gymnastics, but all those teams breaking up really I think hurt them quite a bit.
Yeah, and you still see teams like UCLA kind of at the top there.
Yep.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up as we get ready for my last game. I wanted us to kind of kick it old school tonight, Craig, and it just be the two of us going back and forth and sharing some of our thoughts and bantering a little bit. We spent that first segment just kind of kicking things around. I've got a couple of fun things here for us as we close out tonight, a little old school style. But I want to let everybody know who's listening that we are going to begin our coverage of the upcoming 2026 college football season starting next week. And so we will have our tour of the SEC previews beginning next week with Arkansas. So we will work backwards in terms of the standings as we have the past couple of years, and we'll have a 20-minute segment in our hour every single week covering your team. And so we're going to bounce around the league and, like I said, work our way up and give you an overview, bring somebody in to talk about it, an overview of what we see coming up for that team in terms of the schedule, in terms of the personnel, in terms of coaching changes, and where we see it. We are going to begin building, and I didn't even tell you this yet, Craig, but we're going to begin building our preseason schedule predictions starting next week. So we'll go one school at a time. So we'll get our Arkansas schedule out. We'll pick it. We'll say what we think their record is going to be, and we'll get the thoughts of our friends who we bring in to talk about each one of these teams as well. So we're really excited to get back in and make our way around the SEC as we do every year. It's a little different feel this year, Craig. Spring ball is a thing of the past. In most cases, we have no spring portal. We're pretty much done in terms of big headlines, except for maybe some recruiting news for next year's cycle that we'll start to see happening as we move into the summer. And so we're going to keep that football discussion going because we know that's what you guys want to do. And in keeping with that, right now in our final game, we're going to play Truth, Trend, or Trap. I'm going to give you 3 teams that could be contenders in the SEC in 2026. And you tell me if you think it is the Truth. They are a true blue, real contender.
Yep.
Is it a trend? It's a popular pick, but you have some questions. You're not so sure. Or it's a trap. Mm-hmm. People are saying this, but don't fall for it. Okay. Before we get there, speaking of debates, you sent us something earlier I wanted to throw up here. HBO shows, The Wire, Sopranos, Game of Thrones are kind of known entities. Yep. What is this post that you sent? What is an HBO series that is better than anything else? That is bona fide, gotta go watch it. Yep. One of your favorites. The account here suggests Band of Brothers. You tell us why Band of Brothers is a pick. Is that something that you would endorse?
That's Truth, by the way. So if we're starting our game early, this is Truth. Band of Brothers is the GOAT. Yes, it's patriotic. We've got the Airborne, and everything, all the great things that they did, and you look at the show and you try to think, how the hell could I have survived if I would have done this? But the show, like, you are encapsulated and you are tied in with these men. Just so well done. I know our Uncle Tony is going to be all about The Wire, and he's going to be going after me, saying The Wire might be better. The Sopranos are good. Like, I love The Sopranos. Bada bing, bada boom, all that good stuff. But to me, if we're looking at class, And the thing that holds up is, Rob, you were still in diapers in 2001 when this came out. I remember I was a freshman in college playing lacrosse. This was a Sunday night. Everyone get around the TV to watch episode after episode as it came through. And whether you're watching it in 2001, you're watching it in 2026, it holds the test of time. Band of Brothers is the GOAT. This is something that I hope we don't bother remaking, that we just preserve it, because it is absolutely perfect just the way it is.
Yeah, I actually agree. Big fan of Band of Brothers. I've seen it twice, and I actually watched some of it on the plane a couple of years ago, which is an interesting place to watch it. I was coming into Dallas in the middle of a big storm, right as they were about to drop onto the beach, and the plane on my screen is full of guys with dramatic music who know that they are potentially walking into their certain death for their country, and they are terrified. They're in World War II style aircraft. That's not exactly a smooth flight.
Nope.
And so it's just blaring into my AirPods. The music is incredibly dramatic and just drawing me in. And meanwhile, the physical plane that I was on is going through a nasty thunderstorm and rocking, vibrating, shaking, jerking. And so it was an interesting experience for round 2 of Band of Brothers for me. But I would definitely endorse it. Just maybe not in the middle of turbulence.
Dear God, it's me, Robert. Can I please make sure we touch the ground?
Maggie agrees with us, by the way.
Absolutely.
And she has a preview for next week as well. She will not be our Arkansas guest. Spoiler.
I got one thing. Shout out to Coach Johnson, who was inducted into, I believe it was the Missouri State Hall of Fame. So shout out to Maggie and her family for Coach Johnson's great achievement.
I think he's in multiple Hall of Fames, and so we'll just continue to shout him out for all of those wins and achievements. You are correct, Craig. Good call. All right, truth, trend, or trap?
Truth, trend, or trap.
Let's begin as hot as we possibly can. LSU. Lane Kiffin is brand new in Baton Rouge. He's got a loaded roster. The hype is out the roof. Are they a true contender? Are they a trendy pick? Or is this a trap?
This is a trend. LSU is going to be the 2025 Texas. They are going to get plenty of flowers in the offseason. Look for Sam Leavitt to get the Heisman love. Look for LSU to be very top rated when the preseason polls come out. Opening up with Clemson and at Tiger Stadium. Also opening up with a 9-game SEC schedule with a lot of difficult games on there. And we've got Alabama, we've got Texas, just to name a couple. I think LSU will be that 9-3, 8-4 team this year. So look for the Tigers to be a trend.
Okay. A trend for LSU, he says.
Did I do that right?
You absolutely did it perfectly. And I think that as we look at LSU, it's only fitting that we also look at Ole Miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
The place where Kiffin departed, but I think indisputably number 1 quarterback in the league in Trinidad Chambliss. I think we can make a strong argument for Arch, but given what we saw out of Chambliss last year and the run to the playoffs, I'm going to give him the nod in terms of top quarterback, assuming that everything holds and that he is going to remain eligible heading into 2026. You got the number 1 quarterback in the conference, and you are heading into year 1 under Pete Golding. Couple of interesting games there for Pete Golding, but we haven't seen him start to finish. Mm-hmm. We know that they were able to hold on to Kejuan Lacey, but what happens to the Rebels in 2026? Do they stay atop the mountain, Do they make the playoff? Does it fall off in Oxford? What do you think, Craig?
I think this is another trendy pick. 2025 was special, and I mean, hell, they almost made a national championship. They silenced the noise that was Lane Kiffin, and rolled it through the college football playoff. A whole offseason, now with a lot of expectations, now with truly some new leadership, new offensive, system being in there. Trinidad is back, Kiwan is back, but I just see now we're going to see who Pete Golding is really as a coach for a full season. Again, I'm going to put them right there with LSU. I think 9-3, 8-4 is probably the right thing to look at for Ole Miss coming in. So to me, they're trendy.
Okay. I've left Texas out of this game because I think that we both agree on the talent and the building hype that is existing in Austin. And so I want to go a little bit of a different route here. And you mentioned your Dogs last week not getting much love.
Yep.
And that led to a discussion with Brad Crawford about the mystique of Georgia, but not just Georgia, the mystique of Alabama kind of being gone, and
yep.
the clout that came with Nick Saban is far in the past. Kalen DeBoer heads into what I think is a defining year in Tuscaloosa. Made the playoff last year. Got the win against Oklahoma. What do we think is happening with Alabama this year? Are they a true contender?
No.
Or is I'll go ahead and say I don't think this can be a trend because nobody's really nobody's declaring one way or the other here. It's almost gone unspoken for Georgia and Alabama in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Or is this a trap?
This is a trap. I'm going to be honest. 2025 Alabama was a fraud. They should not have made the playoffs. They were embarrassing down the stretch in the SEC. They got clowned in the SEC championship game. They beat a bad Oklahoma team, and then they got clowned in the Rose Bowl and got kind of what they deserved. This is not trending right for Kalen DeBoer. The team is talented, but it just looks more difficult than I think it should or that we've come to expect from Alabama. Whether right or wrong, sorry, dude, this is what you signed up for. You took over Nick Saban's team. So to me, this is a trap. This will be Kalen DeBoer's last year in Alabama.
Okay, I'm going to push back a little bit because I have built faith in Kalen DeBoer based on his track record over the course of his career, and I haven't seen enough to make me lose that faith to this point. My biggest question when it comes to Alabama is obviously we have a change at the quarterback position, and we're unsure of who's going to step into that role. I personally love what Keelan Russell brings to the table, and I would love to see him step in as we have seen many players step in after a year, kind of learning the system. He's a true sophomore. Can he come in and take this thing by the reins and be a quarterback in this DeBoer Grubb system who brings a little bit of a different skill set to the table, a little more mobility, obviously, than what you had with Ty Simpson last year? Can he be accurate with the football in the intermediate and deep passing game in a way that allows them to move it? But, last year it was the running game that really held them back and caused them to struggle. And we need to know if the Pilates is going to work for this offensive line, and if they can truly take a step up to free up the running backs. Because if not, and you have a true sophomore in Keelan Russell back there running that offense, he's going to be under a lot more pressure, and I think that'll make the job a lot harder for him. So starts in the trenches for Alabama, and in traditional sense, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here. This is the most basic take that you could possibly have, but it's the truth when it comes to the Crimson Tide. Can they improve on the offensive line? Can they establish the run? And then can they get consistent, accurate play from the quarterback position? It's a little bit of a throwback. Can we get a Greg McElroy looking offense in Tuscaloosa? Because if we do, I think they remain consistent because of the level of talent they have on the roster.
The key to a Greg McElroy offense is Barrett Jones at center. And they were missing that. And then here's my question for you. Was Caden Proctor if we're going to do this game, is he a trap? Is he a trend? I mean, like, he got a lot of solid. He got a lot of sizzle, and like, he was a big dude. He went to Iowa, came back to Alabama, caught a pass against Georgia, ran over a cornerback. There was always sizzle with Caden, but that offensive line wasn't good enough. And again, if Caden Proctor is who we thought he was, they should just ran it behind him not every time, but like, it should have been a consistent thing where like they run behind him and they're good to go. And it just was not the case.
Well, if the Super Bowl taught us anything, as you referenced earlier, I think it taught us that the offensive line is a unit, right? And we should have known that long before that game. But I think that Will Campbell caught a lot of heat for his performance in the Super Bowl. But you have to look at what Jared Wilson did beside him at the guard position that kind of put that whole left side in a bad spot, because neither of them really played well. And all of that blame was shifted out, no pun intended, on Will Campbell at tackle. I think when you talk about Caden Proctor, you have to be able to look at the entirety of the unit. And you said that, you don't have Barrett Jones at the center. Right. You don't have the pieces around him. And so I think that it's a both and type of answer. And I'm not trying to cop out there. Right. But I do think that Caden Proctor had his moments. And I think that he has the measurables and he has some skills to be an elite tackle.
Oh, I expect him to be the first tackle off the board. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna check all the boxes at the pro day, at the combine. He's gonna do all he's got everything you look at.
But he did have moments where he didn't live up in terms of his performance on the field. And when all five pieces are not gelling and we're not working together in terms of a unit, then it's going to reflect poorly on him as well. So sometimes it's his fault, sometimes it's the unit's fault. I want to throw one more at you, Craig, before we get out of here. And Maggie's been in our chat box over here active, and I don't know if she's still listening or not, but
bring her in.
Truth, trend, trap. Eli Drinkwitz gets Austin Simmons at the quarterback position. He brings back his running backs. You got a lot of talent in Como that maybe we haven't seen before. I've been on record here saying that I believe that he's got the best quarterback that we've seen him have in terms of raw talent for his entire tenure at Missouri. Is that something that gets the Tigers over the hump? And maybe we see them breaking out. The schedule's a little dicier this year than what we're used to. Missouri has become the butt of the joke, right? In terms of they get a good draw of the SEC. It's an easy schedule. We joked with Maggie last year that, they didn't have to leave. They didn't have to leave Columbia, Missouri until November. And right. I think they played 17 games at home. I'm not sure how many they played on the road. For those of you who are just tuning in, there's 12 games in the regular season. So I don't know. I think the schedule's a little more difficult this year is my point. And I don't know if they have the overall personnel to break through in terms of an SEC championship, but can they get into that 5-team discussion to get into the college football playoff with Austin Simmons at quarterback?
No.
Truth, trend, trap.
Trap. So this is their SEC slate. They not much to talk about in the non-conference. They are playing at Kansas, which will be a fun one, but seems like Lance Leipold stalled a little bit there. At Mississippi State, I think we both expect Jeff Lebby to be a little bit better next year. Homecoming, they have the Gators coming in. That'll be tough. Texas A&M, Ole Miss. They're off. They go to Arkansas, which should be a win. But then they have Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma. It's going to be tough. Maybe 7 or 8. We've got Austin Childress. I didn't say the name right, did I? The heck is it? Austin Simmons. Thank you. I don't know where I had Austin Childress on my head, but whatever. Austin Simmons. Strong left arm, pretty heady kid. Let's see what he's got for Missouri. Drink's done a great job. 7-8 wins is probably more successful. A little bit more unproven. So I'm saying Mizzou's a trap. No offense, Maggie. You can yell at me when we talk about Mizzou in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll have Mizzou in a few weeks, and in all likelihood, we'll have Maggie here with us to really discuss that more than she is just in the chat box, but just for kicks and giggles. She says Mizzou will have to steal games, and Drink has yet to do that. All depends on the defensive line, to be honest. They've improved basically everywhere else. Okay, yeah, so we'll talk to Maggie as we get to Mizzou down the road and break that down a little better. I like Mizzou. They may be my sleeper pick this year as we get into it. We're going to take a look and see. We're going to take a look
in there. You don't want you upset Maggie last week. You don't want to upset her 2 weeks in a row. You're like, oh no, I love her. I think Mizzou's great. Mizzou's great.
I'm not afraid to upset anybody. I've just said multiple times that I like the match of Drink and Simmons. That's all that I'm saying. And when you have those running backs, it's a good combination. All right,
and Coke, you know, the stadium's going to be redone, and let's be honest, that is a home field advantage when they play in Como. You know, they don't need the sandstorm or anything like that. They're just ready to go, especially when they have the blackout there. Little poke there, a little poke just for you, buddy.
This has been SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network. A reminder that we're here every single week. Make sure that you go on YouTube. College Football Forever, Chief. Hit that subscribe button, comment, like, get our podcast on Apple and Google Play. Share this with your friends as we continue to go through and break down the SEC. We'll be back next week to talk Razorbacks and everything happening in baseball, basketball, softball, and beyond. It's SEC Sunday Night Live on the Chief Sports Network. I'm Rob Williams. He's Craig McMichael. We'll see you next time.